So Dimerix is an Australian publicly listed pharmaceutical company, and we're working to improve the lives of patients with inflammatory diseases, specifically kidney disease. Our lead asset, DMX-200, known as Kytovra in some territories, is currently in a phase 3 clinical trial for a treatment called focal segmental glomerulosclerosis, or FSGS, which is a rare type of kidney disease for which we have orphan drug designation and the regulatory and pricing exclusivity benefits that come with that. FSGS currently has no treatments available anywhere in the world. Yes, in March 2024, we announced that the Action 3 Phase 3 trial of DMX-200 in patients with FSGS was successful in the planned first blinded interim analysis of the proteinuria efficacy endpoint from the trial's first 72 patients. Now, the purpose of that analysis was to assess whether the drug was doing better than placebo in reducing proteinuria. If DMX-200 was performing better, the study continued, and if it was not, the study would stop. Pleasingly, using a statistical model on meeting the final endpoint called predictive power, the blinded analysis at that time indicated that DMX-200 was performing better than placebo in terms of reducing proteinuria, which is a surrogate marker of kidney disease progression. By how much? We don't know. It remains blinded to Dimerix, the doctors, and the patients. Passing that first interim analysis in the phase 3 trial was really important, as it suggested that it's possible DMX-200 may achieve a statistically significant and clinically meaningful result at the end of the study. As such, that result was really encouraging, especially for FSGS patients who currently have very limited treatment options. In contrast, the purpose of the second planned blinded analysis is to assess only the statistical powering of the study and has no efficacy analysis. So what do we expect to see? To put this into context, when a company starts a clinical trial, certain assumptions must be made on the baseline variability of patients coming into the trial and the expected treatment effect for the primary endpoints. Using these criteria, a statistical calculation tells you how many patients are required to see a statistically significant outcome, or p-value. In our case, it was estimated that 286 patients were required in the Action 3 study to see that a statistical significance in eGFR. Reassessing the statistical powering of the study is industry standard practice, particularly in pivotal clinical trials. As such, this next planned blinded analysis is really important as we assess those original assumptions and ensure that we have sufficient patients in the study statistically. So it is the variability in patients' baseline data that is reviewed in this upcoming blinded analysis. Our statistician will then conduct an analysis to determine if that 286 patients are still sufficient to see a statistically significant difference between drug and placebo on an assumed treatment effect. So why do we do this type of analysis? Well, companies typically do a blinded statistical powering analysis in any pivotal trial to ensure that they've recruited sufficient patients before it's too late to recruit any more. The last thing any study sponsor wants to see is that you get to the end of the study and find you needed a handful more patients. So in terms of the next steps, firstly, prior to the blinded analysis, Dimerix intends on finalising those endpoints with the US FDA before the end of the 2025 calendar year. Using the outcome from that FDA meeting, Dimerix can assess the primary endpoint for statistical powering in the blinded analysis. Throughout the study, Dimerix is measuring both proteinuria and eGFR, which is essentially kidney function. Using both the FDA and the blinded analysis outcomes, Dimerix and our partners will be able to assess whether we are adequately powered and also assess the potential for further discussions with regulators, unblinding of the data, and potential submission for early market access. So as you can imagine, it's extremely busy within Dimerix at the moment, and I'm genuinely excited about what 2026 and beyond might bring for Dimerix and our partners. I'm very much looking forward to providing updates to the market in due course.